What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Apocaflix Movies here, and we are here for a new episode of Apocaflix now, and it is a three-man show for the moment. We are waiting on one other gentleman to join us, and he'll be here as soon as he possibly can. But for now, I am your interim host for today. Mr. Jacob Bartley is finishing up school this week. He's got some finals to get to. Wish him luck on some stuff. But for now, we have the inmates are running the prison today in fashion because our host is not officially here. And we have quite a bit to talk about. We're very, very excited because it legitimately feels like a real movie news Tuesday that we typically have on the channel. Super, super excited. And with me to do it today is Mr. Gio Ramos and Mr. Brian Avellino. How you gents doing?
Good. I haven't been excited for this news day in quite a while, or a news day in quite a while. So yeah, a lot of stuff. The day started off just a normal news day, and then it just exploded. So, yeah.
It's been a news week. Like, just when we think the calm has settled, kaboom, something else has happened, and it has been a long time since something like that has been.
Yeah, and we did our live shows on Tuesday last week, and so we haven't had a show in a week, so we had a pre-recorded episode, and when our pre-recorded episode was going, a lot of news had dropped. Obviously, we're going to get to the Warner Brothers and HBO Max deal. That's a little bit towards the end of the show. It was set up as the main topic, and so I'm keeping it in its place. And we have some other things to get to before that, which are massive. Some really, really big things are happening in the world of movies and specifically comic book movies. But before we get to that, let's go and get to our first segment we always start with here on the Tuesday edition of Apocaflix Now, and that is the Movie Watching Challenge. The Movie Watching Challenge here on this channel is a cool little segment we do where we essentially just challenge each other to watch movies. Each week it rotates. One person gets challenged. That person watches the movie. And then the following week, that person is allowed to challenge someone else. And we allow either the fans to vote via a YouTube poll, or that person allows or wants to pick a number. Gio picked a number last week and then tried to get the YouTube poll to work and then didn't work. So he picked a number and he landed with Hidalgo. And I'll go ahead and throw up the graphic just in case you don't remember which movie that is. And that is Hidalgo, the Viggo Mortensen adventure film. And so I'm going to hand this off to Gio to let him talk about his thoughts here. Gio, what did you think of Hidalgo?
Yeah, I won't make it too long because we have a loaded show. But boy, Viggo Mortensen coming off of Lord of the Rings trilogy, he could have done anything. But I think it's been well documented that he's very picky with his projects, you know. Like, he's just not going to do something just for the money of it, you know. He has to really believe in the story. And so in Hidalgo, you have a character, Frank Hopkins, a real-life character who's this horse racer, you know.
Yeah, this is a true story, by the way. This is a true story.
Yeah, and a good story, absolutely, because, you know, it's the trailers kind of made it seem like a horse racing, you know, and just, you know, it was going to be pretty straightforward, but this is actually pretty deep. His character is someone who's Western but has like Indian blood, and this is during that era where, like, you know, natives weren't exactly treated the best by Westerners. So there's some of that ties into the beginning of the movie. With his character and his conflict between, you know, who he truly is but where the world is at in that current place in the movie. So basically he goes to the Middle East and signs up to do this epic horse race, like thousands of miles, like across deserts and just a whole bunch of dangerous Mother Nature stuff. And let me just say, some of the horse racing shots in this movie are pretty damn good. Let me just say that, like, it's some of the better stuff that I've seen. And Viggo Mortensen kills it in this movie. He's absolutely terrific. Like I said, it's not very straightforward. Like, there is like some emotional, you know, beats to this movie, especially between him and his horse. I like that the horse has personality too. That was pretty fun. But yeah, great action, lots of adventure, and a lot of heart to it as well. By the time the movie ended, I was generally, touched by what I was watching and his performance, Viggo Mortensen. So I give Hidalgo a thumbs up. Jake, you absolutely know me. You know the movies that I like, man. You're a good friend. I'm glad I met you. So Hidalgo, I give it a thumbs up all the way.
How about that the last stretch of that race? No spoilers here, but the last stretch of that race, just the way that it was all shot and broken down and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. From the it's tough to talk about it without spoilers, but
I know.
I mean, you feel it. You feel like, can this guy go on and the way he does, and just at the very down to the very end, it's crazy. Does he win? I don't know. Watch the movie, you'll find out. But yeah. Check it out.
I know, John, you say we can spoil the movie. That's true. It's very well, but we're not spoiling it because Brian hasn't seen it. And so we don't want to spoil it for him. And possibly even someone else in the chat who has not seen it. And I know everybody in the chat's asking about Spider-Man. That is coming up next, I should say. Not right now, but next. Before we get to that, the second part of our movie challenge is that Gio challenges someone. And then that we pick a movie for that person this week. And that person happens to be the only other person here on the panel today, and that is Mr. Brian Mendocino.
Brian.
And so before we get to the actual movies, Brian, do you want the fans to decide, or do you want to pick a number?
I want the fans to decide this time. Our loyal fan base. It's been a while. Let them have it.
All right. So there will be a poll that goes up tomorrow morning for the movies that Brian is challenged to. For now, he has been challenged to these 4 movies, and these will be the 4 movies that you'll be choosing from. The first one is the Harrison Ford classic, Air Force One.
Ooh, okay. I love
the second one is an all-time classic, and that is Clueless.
Oh my God, I've been wanting to watch this for a while.
You haven't
seen the third one is the complete opposite of Clueless, and that is The Raid Redemption. That is the first one, The Raid.
Okay.
And the fourth one is one of the coolest vampire stories you'll ever see, and that is Underworld. So you have 4 really cool movies that are going to be picked from here, sir. Again, to all of our viewers, that poll will go up tomorrow morning on our YouTube channel under the community tab. If you're subscribed to us, the poll will pop up in your subscriptions, in your feed, and so make sure you hit that subscribe button. But for now, Brian, what do you think of these 4 movies? What are you thinking?
I am very excited, and I am very, very curious to see where this ends up as far as a poll, because I'm seeing a lot of Air Force One, but I feel like Clueless is popular, and I know Underworld has a cult following, and The Raid definitely does too. So I'm very curious to see what
these movies are so different.
Yeah.
So Clueless and Underworld.
One's a foreign film, one's a cult classic. The other one's one of the best action movies of the 2000s. Man.
Okay, I may sound ignorant, but is The Raid in English?
No.
So it's a subtitle movie?
Mm-hmm. Well, so there are 2 versions. There's a subtitle movie, but there's actually an English dub over version of the film.
Watch the subtitle.
Yeah,
I have no problem with subtitles.
Yeah,
I was just curious.
For those of you who haven't seen The Raid and who are interested in it, it's one of the greatest action films to come out maybe ever. And yeah, Gio and I both, being fans of it, definitely recommend watching the subtitle version. You get a better experience watching the subtitle version. But Brian, before we move on here, do you think you could guess at who challenged you at what movies?
Jacob is Clueless. Keith is Air Force One. You two, The Raid and Underworld are 2 that I just don't. If I had to pick, I'm gonna say Gio was probably The Raid and Jake was Underworld, because I know you love Underworld.
All right. Well, you'll only find out one of those very, very soon. As soon as this challenge, you'll find out whose it was. Until then, as we move on, yes, guys, it is time for Spider-Man. But before we get to that, let's go and bring in the Mr. Keith Barnes himself. He is with us. What's up, Keith?
Brian, you got 2 of those absolutely correct.
Yeah. I'm curious.
We'll see.
Keith, I half expected you to come in your Miles Morales suit today.
I didn't have time to get that on. If I thought about it, I would.
Yeah. So with that said, guys, let's get into this real quick, and I'm going to break this down. So let me go through this news because this is crazy. So we've heard over the last couple of months that Spider-Man 3. That a lot of stuff is coming from it, right? You know, you had Electro come in there. There's all kind of rumors about characters and people popping up in it. Well, today it started out by revealing from the Hollywood Reporter that Mr. Alfred Molina will officially be returning as the character of Dr. Octavius Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man. He will officially be reprising his role from that film in Spider-Man 3, but that is not it, because just very soon after that Alfred Molina was announced, the whole thing just fell apart. It just fell. Like everything started coming with it, and that is that these two officially have been said to say that they are joining Spider-Man 3, that they will be reprising their roles. This came from Jeff Snyder of Collider, that both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will both be reprising their respective Spider-Mans from each of their universes. But that isn't all. They'll also be joined by their love interests, Kirsten Dunst as MJ and Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. So they are bringing the entire Spider-Man collection into one movie here, into the MCU. We've heard a lot of rumors, obviously, about the multiverse because Doctor Strange is essentially co-starring in the film. He is said to have a pretty big part in the movie. And so it seems like they're going all out. It seems like they're just going all out with as much as they possibly can and bringing these characters involved, whether it's big or small. Let's talk about some initial reactions before we really dive into this, because there is a lot to dive into. But Brian, I'll start with you on this one.
Yes.
Initial reactions. Don't go into too much yet.
I won't.
Just kind of initial shock reactions, thought processes that would kind of go through your head as you read all this news.
Partis, you son of a bitch, you stole my joke. I've been waiting all day to use this joke, and no more than 10 seconds before we started, he stole my joke right out in front of me. I'm excited. This is gonna be wild. And I think honestly the thing that excites me the most is the fact that I know he's not directing Spider-Man, but Sam Raimi is in the MCU essentially
doing Doctor Strange.
Yes, doing Doctor Strange. So I mean, not only is he doing the thing that probably is going to set off this movie, his characters are going to appear in this movie that he started. He arguably started the Marvel interest. So, I mean, it's kind of cool how it is playing out. And, I mean, as long as it's not just throw as much as you can into it, because I don't think Feige would allow, like, he'd be down for it, but I don't think he's going to be like, let them just screw around with something like this. But yeah, it's going to be wild. I think the thing, honestly, that the most caught my attention was the Emma Stone casting, though, because I was like, what? Like, she dead. She gone.
Okay, well, let's not get too far into that yet, because we still want to discuss it. I do want to get initial thoughts real quick, so I don't mean to cut you off, Brian, but because I don't want you to reveal all your thoughts yet, because I want to discuss it all. I want to discuss it. That
you asked me what my initial thought was, and that was the very out of everything. I went, wait, what? Why? Like, the Spider-Mans make sense. Mary Jane makes sense. Doc Ock makes sense. My immediate thought was, what? And then it was kind of like, I was just like, interesting. I wonder what what is going on with that. And then obviously the Doc Ock got me very excited because I mean he nailed Doc Ock in the Spider-Man movies. So yeah.
Mr. Keith Barnes, reactions to seeing this scroll across your screen earlier today.
Interesting. Although Brian, I would say a couple of these people that are showing up are dead in other other versions of these films, which makes me question.
Doc Ock technically is.
Doc Ock's dead.
But wasn't it like kind of like a
no, you saw his body floating to the bottom of the water.
Oh God, it's been so long since I've seen that movie.
You literally see him sinking through the water.
To the bottom of the Hudson.
Okay. Fair enough.
After building a sun in his apartment.
It's probably been over a decade since I've seen that movie, which is a shame.
Oh wow, yeah. But yeah, well, that leads me, excuse me, to wonder. What were we talking about? We're talking about I think Deadpool last week, Deadpool 3, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I had the same wonders. Well, I mentioned that obviously with the Deadpool character, Ryan Reynolds reprised his role, but not really. It's a different guy, So I kind of wonder if any of these they're just playing the same roles, but maybe they're different.
Doppelgangers, essentially.
Yeah. Sort of like, obviously, Ryan Reynolds, like he's a totally different Wade Wilson to the point where he killed that other Wade Wilson at the end of Deadpool 2? Yeah, Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2, yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder, I was thinking about the same thing with Jamie Foxx. Like, is that maybe it's possibly a different version of the character? Who knows? I don't know.
I hope so.
I kind of think it is, but with that one at least, I kind of think it might be. But with a lot of these, but it could very well be. These are all it's Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst and Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone, so it could very well be the same, same universes that we saw before. Who knows? But it's interesting. It's interesting to. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm like, all right, it's getting to be a bit much here. I don't know.
A lot of people in the chat. A lot of people in the chat are agreeing with you, Keith. A lot of people in the chat who are a little scared that it might be too overcrowded.
I fully admit that I'm one of those.
Gio, I'll get to you here in a second. I just want to say this. My initial thought is that they're not going to have big roles. I have a feeling that it might be like a quick landing spot if he does go to like different Earths or whatever happens, and we see a fight scene between Spider-Man and Doc Ock or something like that, like just some version of that where it's a very quick appearance, nothing super serious like what Flashpoint's doing over in DC, where the actual Batmans are going to be involved in it. I don't necessarily know if that's going to happen in this movie because, and it's nothing against DC, but that universe doesn't have an entire story going on outside of it, whereas the MCU does at the moment. So I don't know. But Gio, initial thoughts, reactions, because we were kind of talking throughout the day. We saw all the tweets and everything. What are you thinking?
All right. Before I ask this question, let me complete the question, okay?
Oh, goodness.
Is this a knee-jerk reaction from DC announcing Flashpoint and multiple Batmans, including Keaton and Affleck returning?
No.
You sure?
Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was announced way before that was. Sorry. This is essentially like a two-parter to that movie.
Well, also, listen, they've been talking about, there were rumors about this back when Into the Spider-Verse came out. Immediately what fans were saying were like, because there were rumors that they were going to appear in that movie. The two other Spider-Man, Garfield and Maguire, were going to be in that one. So I think there was just there's been a groundswell. It's been growing to let's get them in live action. So I think they've been working on that for a couple of years. Personally, I don't think so.
Okay, well, man, Alfred Molina threw me off. I did not see that one coming. Same with the ladies. Actually, no. Kirsten Dunst, I could see that one happening. But Gwen Stacy, Emma Stone, I don't know. I mean, but okay, we'll get into speculation. So with the ladies, I didn't really see coming. Doc Ock, I did not see coming at all.
Yeah, right.
Tobey Maguire, I was doubting he would return, but I guess he's back. And Andrew Garfield, yeah, he needs proper closure. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I have so many questions about this, and I'm sure we'll get into it. I don't want to say too much. So those are initial reactions.
Yeah, we're probably, because it's such a big piece of news, we'll probably do like a full-on separate video with like complete speculation stuff, especially with Jacob, because Jacob is kind of like the resident Spider-Man guy. He really, really does love the character. But let's get into this a little bit, because there's a lot of possibilities. I kind of threw mine out there a little bit already that they might not be like super seriously involved. There's definitely a chance that they could be forming some kind of weird version of the Sinister Six throughout different universes. This version of Doc Ock being involved with that Electro of Andrew Garfield's world, with this version of Vulture. It could be a very interesting combination to bring all these characters together. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe this comes out before Doctor Strange 2, or was supposed to originally.
That was my next question.
I believe this was originally supposed to come out before Doctor Strange 2. And so that begs the question as to how much it is going to be involved, because Doc 2 is supposed to be the real multiverse movie. Does this like become like the first part of it? Maybe the ending like blows it wide open and we see all these characters again in the future. I don't know. Just open discussion, guys. What are we all thinking on this?
Partis, you put the timeline in there. I'm curious. Are we saying our speculation for it?
Yeah, let's go for it. Yep.
Okay. I lean towards what Jake said about this movie. I think if I had to imagine what I think they're going to do, I almost feel like he might come in at certain parts of their old movies. Hence why those characters would be alive. So maybe he comes back or comes in at some point during Spider-Man 2. Or he comes in during some point in Amazing Spider-Man 1 or 2. Instead of building this whole like thing, he just kind of like swings into their movies during maybe one of the movies that's going on, and then like jumps out at some point.
So that'd be time travel as well as dimension.
Yep.
Yeah.
But again, from what Endgame set up, we don't really know how dimension hopping like plays with time. Like, it's a very tricky thing from how they set it up in Endgame.
Well,
strange
It's confusing.
Is there?
No, not anymore.
Actually, to be honest, has there ever been like dates in those two movies?
That's a good.
Because if there's not dates, those could simultaneously be happening.
Sure. That's probably what they'll do. That is more. They're not going to say, 20 years ago, and he shows up with Tobey Maguire. It'll be simultaneously from what's going on at this point. That's a good call.
You would assume it was relative to just our time. That's what I always assume.
Yeah.
But then you have to explain why is Macy Gray performing at the.
That's true. So if there's no dates, then yeah, I mean then you can kind of line it up. If you don't have to like literally go back. So I mean I think honestly that might be what we could see, because as of right now, I don't know how they go back with these characters that are dead.
Yeah, and the big two, Emma Stone and Alfred Molina, they're both dead. They're both dead in their universes.
And what happened to Electro? I can't remember. Did he
was
survive?
imprisoned.
Okay, So
Well,
sorry.
He just turned into electricity?
He turned into electricity. He disappeared. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah,
Undecided if he died, but he disappeared.
Yeah. So if I had to guess, that's where I'm going to go with it because, like I said, then you don't have to line up dates and time and stuff like that, and it would make the most sense. The only thing that would be a little bit difficult is maybe depending on how old these actors look.
But there's de-aging stuff that you can play
exactly,
with.
and that's where I was going to go.
We've seen it in the MCU before. Obviously, with Steve Rogers, they up-aged him. I do want to point out some of the comments. They're saying that studio decision. I wanted to see it kind of lead into this. You have to think that inside the MCU, stories like this, they're not going to take up multiple movies. Look at something like Civil War, for example. It was one movie. It wasn't 3. It wasn't 2. It was one movie. None of these major comic lines are going to take up a trilogy of movies. They're going to find a way to adapt them. The key word there is adapt for their universe. And if it's big or small, they're going to do their best to do it right. And I'm personally okay with Spider-Verse being an inkling of the movie or a part of the movie because I feel like trying to stretch it into a full movie doesn't really work, especially after they already did it in animation. Like, you don't kind of want to do the same thing with what that movie did. So I'm personally okay with it if it's kind of like a touching stone for this movie, and then they kind of move on. Yeah,
and the last thing I'll say is, with that, I highly, 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 highly doubt time travel will be a thing, because then then that opens up a whole mess of things of, well, why don't they go back and save Iron Man? Or why don't they go do this? So that's the thing that makes me think that it's going to be like kind of lined up and happening at the same time. Because you don't want to, multiverse is one thing. You don't want to put multiverse and time travel on top of each other, because then people are going to go, what in the hell is going on? So yeah, that's my
Gio, you're awfully quiet.
I'm just trying to think, and it's I'm not even going to try to predict how they're going to do this. All I'm going to say is So is Alfred Molina, Tobey Maguire, and Kirsten Dunst, are they going to pull them from one multiverse, one universe? Because
they're probably a package deal, a la to Electro, Andrew Garfield, and Emma Stone. It seems like they're going to be pulling a villain, a hero, and the loved one from each side and bringing them in. And that's why what I had said about them essentially just being like a cameo appearance makes the most sense, because and on top of it, what Brian had brought up about the fact that they're dead, and you go to a time where they're actually alive if you jump to that time period, because one person from each side of the universe is dead. Doc Ock is dead, Emma Stone is dead, and Electro disappeared technically. And so it definitely raises the question, and as much as I would love to see Emma Stone don the Spider-Gwen outfit, I doubt that's going to happen because she's technically dead.
Unless he goes to a different world, and that's literally her thing. But
which is possible. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm imagining it's going to be like he travels to Earth 617. Earth 618.
I agree. I don't know if they'll name them, but I feel like it's going to be like a very like a sequence where they're trying to find where they're supposed to go, and they make pit stops on these places along the way.
Yeah. A la like in Doctor Strange when he opens, and it's like you see like the desert, or another one is the snow, like that type thing.
Yeah, wasn't there some kind of a map or something that showed all the different Earths and they had numbers on them in Far From Home at the S.H.I.E.L.D. place?
I think I don't know if that was in Far From Home, but that definitely happened in a previous movie. Was it Far From Home?
Yeah, when they were at that.
It was they were from the monsters, the big monsters.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they had theorized that the big monsters were from different universes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Eventually, Mysterio is behind it, but that means that, and I forget the name of them, like Hydro Man and all the the water.
Hydro Man, Sandman, Molten Man, and
I forget the name of them.
the Rock.
Oh, the Elementals. The Elementals. That's what it was.
Oh, the specific name. Yeah, Elementals.
Yeah, and that leaves open the possibility that the actual Elementals are still out there somewhere that can be seen someday in Spider-Man, which is really cool. But that's a good point, Keith, because they've already been kind of laying the groundwork for that to happen.
Yeah.
And it would also leave we talked about it during Far From Home that Mysterio himself could possibly be from another Earth.
He said he was from Earth.
Well, and we thought that there was a possibility that he could have just been lying, but if they could be like, no, he was actually from another Earth.
No, I know, but I'm saying like
in the movie he said it. Yeah. So it's very
Nick Fury and Nick Fury slash the Skrull. I forgot his name, but he said it as well. Right?
Talos.
Right. Yeah, I think he kind of and of course, real Nick Fury was up on that ship. What we think is Sword. Maybe this is the thing that they're monitoring. It does make me think, though. I've been saying this forever. The big cliffhanger at the end of that movie is going to be resolved immediately,
very quickly,
in the first couple minutes. Yeah, like I said, I've always said they could just use a scroll, just have a Skrull Peter Parker walk in while Spider-Man's swinging around, whatever. So that's not. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the driving, story.
Which is a bummer because I wanted to see Kraven hunt down Spider-Man so bad.
Yeah. Well, you still might get that. Eventually. It's another thing fans keep calling for.
Hopefully, it's not Kraven hunting him down through different dimensions.
Yeah. Well,
He becomes a dimension hopper.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
That would be odd.
Hopefully, Gio doesn't get his favorite thing, which is a disgruntled Stark Industry employee causing chaos.
I think they're done with that, but yeah, that would be annoying.
So repetitive.
Yeah.
But how about John Watts? Can he handle something like this?
100%. 100%.
I have my doubts.
No, he's got this.
I think he may be directing, but something this level has to be done with Sam Raimi is going to have some input in how his Spider-Man people are directed, especially if he's doing Doctor Strange. And I'm sure Feige has in his mind how it works out. So I think it's just going to be a matter of how he actually uses what it's doing.
Yeah, I think you can do it. Who's you got to like we mentioned earlier. You mentioned Flashpoint. You got a kind of a similar thing where there's a lot going on there. Who's directing that again? I'm sorry.
Andy Muschietti. Flashpoint?
Ooh, yeah, it chapter 1 and 2, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, that's kind of, I don't want to say small scale because it's a lot. It's an intense couple of movies.
It's similar to John Watt's beginnings. He started out with an indie film called Cop Car that starred Kevin Bacon. It was a very small movie, and then he absolutely crushed Homecoming. I have no doubts that he can do it.
Both of those guys, yeah. There's a lot going on in both those stories. So
I will say, Gio, I can see where you're saying though.
It's a lot.
It is a ginormous. This is, I would say, Infinity War level. Not quite Endgame, but Infinity War level.
I'll say more like Civil War. I compare it to Civil War.
That's what I was going to say. More like Civil War.
Yeah, because Civil War is a big story. I always imagined it would be 2 movies. Okay.
And it also depends on how much multiverse they actually go to as well. How involved it really is. I have a feeling it'll be towards the back end, but that's just kind of my thoughts.
You know what? Oh,
go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
No. Go ahead, Keith.
I was going to say really quick. I know you mentioned it's not going to be a big a trilogy type of thing. It's going to be small enough to contain in this one movie, but who knows what the effects would have in future movies.
For sure. For sure.
We saw stuff in Endgame we never thought we'd see again. There was stuff from Thor: The Dark World. We never thought we'd see any of that stuff again, and it popped back up, several years later. So who knows? Who knows?
I will say one last thing is, it's funny. The thing that I keep thinking is, it seems like Flashpoint and this, as much as they're using somewhat of the same concept, it seems so different. And I'm kind of excited about that. Like, it's not, at least from me, like, my biggest thing was like, oh crap, it's going to be who can put out the first and the best multiverse type situation thing. I'm getting such different vibes on them that it's making me excited for both of them separately, and not that like, all right, who's going to do it first and who's going to do it better. So it does excite me in the sense of like, I feel like we're getting somewhat of the same thing, but it's going to be so drastically different that I'm very excited to see how it plays out. And I could be wrong, Gio, of your opinion since DC, but I feel like they're going to be a little bit drastically different.
Let's wrap up some final thoughts here before we move on, because we do have some other things to talk about. Gio, any final words?
It's starting to feel like we're going to get the Sinister Six in some version. I mean, you're pulling Doc Ock, Electro, you have Vulture, you got Scorpion, Mysterio, and who knows who else. I mean, hell, they could even pull Kingpin from the Daredevil series into this, and maybe,
can you imagine if they got Willem Dafoe to do a Green Goblin?
Green Goblin. Yeah, I mean that wouldn't.
Yeah, I forgot about him. Sorry,
James Franco, because that would be good too.
Oh, he's Hawkeye, isn't he? Yeah, that's true.
Let's go one.
Feel better.
Oh no, that's pretty much it. I'm looking forward to it. I hope these aren't just cameos, because then that'd be a waste. Give them something. Just give them 6-7 minutes of screen time, or something. You have an opportunity to close out a lot of these characters properly, and so I hope it works out, and I hope we hear the Danny Elfman theme at some point.
Same.
From the original Spider-Man movies.
Same.
Yeah.
God,
Keith.
Imagine seeing him swing in. It's that. Oh my God.
They show every Spider-Man, or each Spider-Man swinging in their own universe. That's kind of like
them. Yeah. Or all three of them swing in and hang on the flagpole, the American flagpole. All three of them.
Can I ask one quick thing? Do we think that at any point all three of them will be together at one time?
Yeah.
Yes.
I
have
think
to.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go and shift gears here. We do have another Marvel thing to talk about before we get to some Warner Brothers stuff. We're going to definitely be talking about that massive deal that was made between WB and HBO Max. So we're going to be talking about Hawkeye. The Hawkeye television series is going strong right now. It's kicking butt. It's officially shooting right now, and it was confirmed this last week by on-set photos that Haley Steinfeld officially has been cast and is involved as Kate Bishop. And I don't know if anybody else saw this today, but her first look in costume was actually revealed by on-set photos.
Didn't see that.
So there she is alongside Jeremy Renner in her Kate Bishop outfit. You can see her with the bow. She's got the arrow, and she is looking all kinds of badass, which is really, really cool. But that is not all that was announced. A massive cast was also announced. And shockingly, this comes from Variety. This was led by the reprisal of Florence Pugh as the Elena Belova. She will be returning from her role in Black Widow. And so we will see her again after she appears in Black Widow next year. But that wasn't done because Vera Farmiga also is joined the cast as Kate Bishop's mother, Eleanor Bishop, which was followed by Tony Dalton, who is going to be playing a character named Jack Duquesne, I think his name is. And if you know what that sounds like, that's because it's very similar to the character name, I want to say, oh goodness, I don't want to butcher this name, a French character with a very similar first name, very similar last name, and the true identity of this character is actually named Swordsman, and he is Hawkeye's mentor. So a little bit of origin there for the story. He'll be tackling the character name as Swordsman. That is followed up by the character Echo, who is played by a brand new actress named Alakwa Cox. And she'll be playing the character called Maya Lopez, and she is known as the deaf Native American hero known as Echo. Key role here, guys. This character is heavily involved with Daredevil. She is very much involved in the Daredevil comic books. And her father will actually be played by Zahn McClarnon, who you may recognize from Westworld. He was also in Fargo and a number of other projects. And that is finally followed up by Fra Fee, who will be tackling the clown-faced mercenary known as Clown, a very popular Hawkeye villain that we know from the comic books, which is really, really cool. So a lot to talk about here, guys. A lot to talk about. So much is happening with this series. It's underway. It's been filming for about a week now. We have a full-on cast that's involved. We see Haley Steinfeld officially as Kate Bishop. It is official. We have Florence Pugh, we have Vera Farmiga, we have Tony Dalton, and so many others. Gio, I'll start with you on this one. Thoughts on all of this, excitement level? Just what do you think about this Hawkeye series at this point?
It's the series from, like, out of all the established characters, I think this is the one that deserves it the most. You know, he's kind of gotten the short end of the stick in several movies. There we go. Yeah, and I feel like this would really allow Jeremy Renner to do something with the character of Clint Barton. I am excited about the casting of Haley Steinfeld. I'm always rooting for these young actors and actresses to get their big break in big franchises. Who knows what this leads into. Hell, I'm making a prediction right now. Hawkeye dies. She becomes the lady for the MCU.
Well, so to be fair to what Gio's saying, the first ever time we see Kate Bishop, she takes up the bow because Clint Barton does die.
No, I know that. I'm saying, you think he's gonna die?
Yeah,
I think he's gonna retire.
I think he'll retire as well.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that his family is involved in this heavily.
Oh yeah, we'll see Linda Cardellini and baby Pietro and all those people again for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think I think when he retired the first time, it was too simple. This is like, all right, I'm entrusting you this. Goodbye.
Just like that.
Mm-hmm. He literally says,
I think it'll be towards the end of the season. I think it's going to lead into something. We know that from a lot of other projects, Marvel seems to be setting up this kind of new Avengers, or young Avengers, I should say, / new Avengers style of team with some younger characters. One thing I didn't mention is that at one point in time, Echo was actually involved in a new Avengers team. She was a part of a new Avengers squad. And it seems like with a lot of the other series and movies, you have Ant-Man's daughter Cassie. We have Scarlet Witch and Vision's kids, possibly Kate Bishop as well. There's a high possibility we could be seeing either a new Avengers / young Avengers in the very near future. I think it's really cool. I mean, the names on this are bonkers. First of all, Florence Pugh coming back is awesome. Seeing more of her is great. She's actually going to be the first new character that we're going to be seeing that's going to be jumping from a movie to a TV show, which is really cool. Obviously, Hawkeye's doing it in the big characters, but a side character is actually jumping from a film to a TV show, which is really cool. Only kind of fueling the fire that she does take on the mantle of Black Widow. She finds Hawkeye or Hawkeye finds her or whatever it may be. You can never get enough of Vera Farmiga. She's great in everything. I love that she's involved in this as well. And then Tony Dalton as Swordsman. That's really cool. I don't know a lot about the character. I don't know a lot about the Hawkeye mythology, but I'm very interested in Hawkeye's origin. And if it involves with Swordsman and that kind of dynamic between the two of them, I'm excited, man. This series quickly became something to really look forward to. They're making some really good moves for this series. Plus, how can you not get excited seeing this? I mean, that is amazing. That looks so good.
I love that face she has on the one because she looks like she's having a freaking blast.
Yeah. So I'm all on board with the series. I think it's gonna be awesome. I think it's gonna kick ass. I'm all in on Hawkeye right now for sure.
Who wants to go next?
Keith, why don't you jump in?
Check out Hawkeye, My Life as a Weapon. I think that they're going to adapt a lot of that into this. I'm trying to order it for a while. I just came through it at a store a few months ago because I heard it was really good. I never sat down and read it cover to cover, but looks like it's really good. And both Kate Bishop is in that with him. And he's battling some European, like Eastern European gangs, kind of like John Wick. All the people John Wick is fighting, it's sort of like that. So I think that I get the feeling they're going to adapt some of that into this. It's really cool because a lot of it is because I love Hawkeye, always have. I think Gio, you hit it right on the head, man. First of all, you're getting Jeremy Renner, Modesto, California's own. Showing up as Hawkeye is huge, obviously, and he's one of those guys that he's a star, but he's not like a star. He's got so many, obviously, with the Jason Bourne series and with the Mission Impossible, he keeps getting almost there, and then not quite there. But we know he's obviously got the ability. He's been nominated a couple times, so glad he's getting a chance to get his own chance to really shine in his own series. It's going to be really cool. Certainly think that Florence Pugh, she's clearly the new Black Widow, right? Like they're going with, like, she's going to take the place of Natasha. I don't know her character's name, whatever, but
Natasha
she's the new
Romanoff.
Black Widow. That's yeah. Well, the other one is because she's Russian. It's like, yeah, no, I know.
Oh,
exactly.
Florence Pugh,
No,
Yelena Belova.
Yeah,
Yelena
Belova. Yeah,
she's playing. Okay, yeah, because I know that's the other Black Widow in the comics. Yeah,
Yeah.
blonde.
it's her sister. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's obviously happening. I don't know a whole lot about the villains. I remember seeing Swordsman in my Marvel encyclopedia. I never actually read about him. I don't know a whole lot about him, but as soon as you said that, I went, "Oh yeah, I've seen that guy before." I don't know who he is, but I didn't know he was tied to Hawkeye at all. But I'm gonna have to crack that open and read up about him. But he's gonna wear that weird helmet with the. Speaking of that, looks like they fixed Jeremy. Hawkeye got rid of that ridiculous haircut.
Oh, his haircut was dope.
Oh my God, it was terrible. Really? I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan. It looked weird.
Wait, which haircut? In Endgame?
His
Ronin
Ronin.
haircut. His Ronin haircut.
Will we see any Ronin in the series?
So there was actually
don't say too much because this is going to be some of the stuff that I talk about.
Okay, I'll hold off then.
Well, I mean, all right.
I was going to talk about a rumor
Spill
that
the tea
floating around.
Yeah.
So
What
go
do you
ahead,
guys?
Brian. Your thoughts?
I think that the casting is fantastic. I'm iffy on Vera Farmiga because I kind of wanted her to become some type of villain at some point because I love how like evil she plays sometimes. But I mean, whatever. Yeah. I think that there's a slight possibility that Swordsman could be bad. Because at some point, well, not at some point, there is a version of him that is villainous and he happens to use a katana, which is what Ronin uses. So I could be
it is
wrong.
a version of a sword. So
yeah, but I'm saying like he's his mentor. He trained him.
Yes.
Uses a sword. You're a smart ass. So yeah, I'm curious to see how that.
So what I was saying to the Ronin stuff, there was a rumor floating around when Florence Pugh was cast that we may actually see her in a version of the Ronin outfit. And that she might take on some version of that at one point, or just for maybe a little point, which could be very, very interesting. Because we haven't met her yet, so we don't know what type of character she really is. But she could be very different from Natasha, and maybe she clashes a little bit, or she takes on some kind of alter ego. But that was floating around. I don't know if that's going to be true or not, but I'm just saying I was putting that out there because Ronan did get brought up.
Do we think that her and Clint have a relationship?
No. What kind? Like a friendship?
Yeah.
Do they know each other?
Yeah.
I think they know each other.
I think so.
I think they do.
Yeah.
Probably
I
not.
can
as
see-
well.
Yeah, I feel like Clint and Natasha were the tightest group of two characters that we saw in the entire MCU, like everything. And so I wouldn't be surprised. I have a feeling it might tie back to oh my god, what's the famous story that everybody wants to see?
Budapest.
The city, Budapest.
Budapest.
I have a
yeah.
feeling it ties back to Budapest because I do think we will see that in this show at some point.
I'm gonna make an outlandish theory that she's a underground SHIELD agent. By the time we see her in Hawkeye,
But Shield's gone at this point.
so that doesn't mean she
Florence.
couldn't have been one, and then
She could be a scroll.
no.
Yeah, maybe.
Don't bring scrolls into this show. Don't bring
Maybe,
scrolls into
maybe
this
she
show.
bites the dust in Black Widow, and
No, they're not going to kill two Black Widows in one movie.
spoiler.
She might have ADD or something.
Black Widow already died. How can it be a spoiler? All right. Any final thoughts on Hawkeye before we move on to our final topic, guys?
This went from probably my least, second to least excited of the TVs to probably my third.
I'm looking forward to this more than I am Loki.
That's
same.
Loki's my very bottom.
Yeah, Loki's the one I'm
Same.
not looking forward to the most right now. I'm looking forward to this more than Loki.
Really? Wow.
Loki
Yeah.
can only die so many times. Okay, I don't care what happens to him and his. He can get
Look,
tortured the whole
I'm
time.
interested in Loki because he has the Tesseract. It's something new, but this is like new characters, new world, completely different from anything we've seen. So I'm pumped about this. I really am looking forward to Hawkeye a lot, and I was before, but I'm looking forward to it even more now.
I personally think Loki's only going to be one season, and it's going to be literally strictly used to set up certain things.
Probably.
That
It's
would
gonna be the last time we ever
unfortunate.
see him. So
But it's going to be a story to tell. You know, it's going to be. It won't be me.
Oh, absolutely. But
Yeah.
I'm saying like the importance of all these new characters, Loki's is
Sure.
going to be low.
Possibly. At this point, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. Is Florence Pugh supposed to be Falcon and Winter Soldier as well, right? She showed up in that one? I thought I heard that.
that hasn't been announced or
Are
confirmed.
you thinking of Sharon Carter?
Yeah, Agent 13 is.
No. I thought I heard. Oh, well, maybe it was that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to move on to our final topic here, and we don't have that much time, but we've left enough time to talk about. We have about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, and it's a big one. It's the biggest news that has dropped in the film world this year, and that is that in 2021, all Warner Brother Pictures films, all of their theatrical release movies, which is a total of 17, they will be simultaneously playing on HBO Max and in theaters on the same exact day. And that includes movies like Tom and Jerry, Godzilla vs. Kong, Mortal Kombat, The Conjuring 3, Space Jam 2, The Suicide Squad, Dune, and Matrix 4. Those are just some of the 17 movies that we're going to be able to get a chance to watch on HBO Max the same day as it's playing in theaters. Obviously, we know the reasons why. COVID has affected the movie business massively, and the future of theaters for the near future, for 2021 at least, is in question. And WB struck first, and they made the deal with HBO to put all of their films simultaneously in theaters and on streaming service the same day. And for those of you who have access, mainly the population outside the U.S. who have access to watching a movie in theaters, you're going to have that chance to. If not, it's going to be available on streaming the exact same day. And it's no extra price. It's the price of your subscription, which is a big key there. So, gentlemen, I mean, let's talk about this because this is huge. This could have, no effects on the future. This could have huge effects on the future. Where do we kind of lie on this? And Keith, I'm going to start with you because I haven't started with you on topic yet. I'll let you go first on this one. What do you think about WB on HBO Max?
First of all, The Many Saints of Newark is one of these films.
Sorry, I skipped over it. My B.
You're fine. I was going to bring it up either way, but oh man, yeah. I'm so excited. That and Dune is like. However, Dune I'll probably go check out in the theater. Many Saints. Some of these are ones that are like, okay, that's cool. I'm gonna watch that at home, and some of them are like, nah, I gotta see that in the theater. Maybe depending on where we are, but obviously I have no problem watching any of these at home. Of course, if it's because the whole point is just everyone to be safe, right? And I obviously we talked a few months ago. I went to see Tenet. There was no one there, so that's literally the only reason I went is because it was an empty show. Okay, but Brian, okay, if there's no one there,
shame.
If it was a half capacity and it was all the way out in Roseville. If it was here, and it was like even at half
all
capacity,
the way out in Roseville, it's not all the way out here. Okay,
It is all the way out there.
it is not all the way out here.
I got you on that.
30
one, Keith,
miles
all the
away.
way. It takes a
30
day.
miles.
It takes us a day to get there.
All right, guys, we got to leave right now. We got a half-hour drive to get up there.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, that was maybe, like I said, it was maybe like 6 or maybe 8 people in there. It was one of those kind of things. We're talking. This is going to be spread out. This is all 2021, right? So we got all year to kind of see what's happening. But it doesn't seem like theaters going to be open up in the U.S. Certainly not here in California. Probably for a while. Certainly not at full capacity. So, but it's big news. No, these are all big movies to be showing up on streaming. I know what they say, 30 days for each one's only, going to run for 30 days.
It'll be on HBO Max for a month.
Yeah, go to all the other services after that. So that's quite interesting. We've talked about it a couple times this year, obviously, but this is something it's probably been heading this way for a while anyway, just because home viewing is getting so much better, so much more elaborate, so much,
less expensive.
Exactly right. It's right, just in your house, right? You don't have to do anything.
You don't have to worry about idiots in the theater.
Exactly right. And then you throw it's people on their phones, they're talking to stuff. You throw a pandemic on top of that. It's like, man, I'm going to the movie theater.
Vaping.
Yeah. So maybe vaping. I haven't seen that. In the theater. That's a new one. I'm surprised I haven't seen that. But
the top row vaping, and it flows all the way down to like the lower ends, and you're like, "What the?" Fuck?
Hey, I'll say one thing about this whole, and we'll get into some more discussion. But I'm 1,000%. It's a no-brainer. I'm building a home movie theater now. Like,
yeah. Oh, that's right. Exactly.
That projector's sounding really nice about
that projector. Just it's looking real pretty now. Like,
yeah.
Set up a little, man. Put up a big, kind of white.
I'm gonna
in your backyard.
I'm gonna do a social distance driving in my cul-de-sac and let people come watch. By a blow-up screen.
Keith, start putting money to the side for gas because we're gonna have to start driving to Roseville.
Overnight bag, so we can go watch.
Shut up! Overnight bag. No way.
That's true.
No way.
But yeah, the biggest ones though. So you mentioned the Matrix, right? That
one in Godzilla hurts. It hurts.
That's gonna be a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, I could do without Wonder Woman and Suicide Squad, but not
Godzilla and Kong on a small screen, man.
No. Did Geo freeze? I'm waiting for
No, I didn't freeze. I was just staring at you.
Suicide Squad is on that list. Yes.
It is. Okay. All right. Now this is all 21. I know they moved the Batman to 22. So that's still
so the Batman and Flashpoint, those are still undecided because we don't know.
All right. Well, we'll see. But it's big news, man. Like I said, a lot of these we'll have to pick and choose. It seems like I said, probably watching all these at home though. To be honest,
really,
maybe with the whole thing about like if they're still doing the thing where you can kind of rent out the studio or the studio
Private
theater
watch parties.
Yeah, but we'll see. I wonder how much that will be. I'm curious about how that's
The average has been about 150.
So I actually
20.
I actually talked to Cinemark today about it because I'm asking for Wonder Woman for us.
Right.
New movies, brand new movies are 150. Classics are $100.
So how about like booking? Because there's going to be a lot.
You can book them in advance. You book them in advance. You choose the movie you want to watch. And if the movie isn't available yet, they said they can switch it when the movie becomes available. And you just pay the extra fee if it's a brand new movie. And you can have up to 20 people. And for Cinemark, because Cinemark is our local chain, it's 2 seats between groups or people or partners or whatever it may be. And so that's essentially what's happening. So I'm on the phone constantly trying to figure out. It all depends for us if we open back up. For the time being, unfortunately, with Wonder Woman so much, it probably looks like it might not happen for us. But there is a chance where we could end up seeing something like Wonder Woman in theaters if we do a private watch party.
So let's see, a private thing, and you got I'm done. But it's a private thing. So for big ones like The Matrix or
damn you, Rachel! Damn you,
Rachel. Do you have 5 seats for
Rachel,
people in California?
Damn your APs! Damn you!
We're coming.
I love Arizona, man. It was so fun.
So real quick, and Gio, I know that you have a lot of thoughts on this. I'm going to save you for last because you're the most WB, DC heavy on this one, obviously. So Brian, real quick, what just thoughts on this when this dropped? I mean, this was huge news.
So I uploaded the film slate in our thing, so that way it's a thumbnail. I am fine seeing pretty much any of these movies at home, except for
Space Jam. Forgot about Space Jam.
I'm surprised none of you have brought up Mortal Kombat.
Oh my God! I'm getting.
Oh, sorry. Okay, but on it, what I was gonna say.
Mortal Kombat.
What I was gonna say is all of these I could see at home, except for Godzilla, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Dune, and honestly, that might be it.
The Matrix.
I don't care that much enough about The Matrix to see that, but honestly, other than those 4. I'm kind of like, okay. But I mean, Tom and Jerry at home, oh, that's fine. Space Jam, that's fine. Conjuring, all those types, I'm okay. Mortal Kombat, I'm not huge on. So part of me is are you effing kidding me? How dare they do this? But then I look at the movie slate and I'm like, well, only 4 of those are movies that I really actually care about. So I'm kind of torn on it in a way. And that's why I uploaded the picture to show what it is, because I mean, that does make a difference in my opinion. If would I have probably seen most of those in theaters? Yes. But in this situation, I'm not going to risk it to see Tom and Jerry, or
how dare you?
Sorry, or even honestly, Mortal Kombat. I'm kind of
Mortal Kombat.
But then again, see, that's because I'm not a big gore person.
I hope you get the raid, because then you'll be excited.
Yeah. Yes. The raid is the modern day Mortal Kombat. 100%.
Some of those people in that movie will be in Mortal Kombat.
All right. Well, we'll see. But I mean, it's
Chuck. I hate you. I hate you, Chuck.
What is he saying?
I hate you, Chuck.
Except for okay, those are the ones you need to see. Oh, okay. Oh,
no, it's fine. So for me, like I said, that's why I uploaded the image. It's part of me is I can't believe they're doing this, but the other part of me is I really only truly care about 4 of those movies at this time. So it's a toss-up for me. I refuse I refuse to see Dune in anything other than IMAX.
Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough one.
I will wait.
I won't be able to wait.
I can't add. That
Shame
might just be
on me.
Jake. That
But-
might be Dune. Ours. Dune is ours. That might be me and Jake. Also, Jake, I'm sorry, Brian, to interrupt. Really quick, Jake, Those Who Wish Me Dead, that's Taylor Sheridan. That's the new Taylor Sheridan film.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Yes, sir. It's got Angelina Jolie, Nicholas Hoult, John Bernthal.
Oh, don't get me started.
Dude, I'm gonna have to add that to the list.
All right, Gio, let's get into it, man.
Hold on, let me get comfortable. Hold on.
What's going through your head?
All right. So the first thing, the obvious thing is, wow, this takes off a whole lot of pressure off the Snyder Cut for gaining HBO Max
my God.
subscribers, because Snyder Cut was made to up the subscribers at the time. But now you're going to see a lot of one-year subscriptions based off of this news. I mean, how could you turn it down? Honestly, no extra charge for only, X amount of dollars a month. And you compare that to how much you would spend at a movie theater, given tickets, concessions, gas, time. And then if you have kids, it's even that much more expensive. Now you can do it all from home.
Oh,
so what?
Sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
They did this too. They did this too.
Yep.
Okay, so wait, you're telling me this is an elaborate ploy for them to get more people to watch Snyder Cut?
No. I'm saying the Snyder Cut.
No,
There's no longer a lot of pressure on the Snyder Cut to get HBO Max subscribers. Like, this deal right here pretty much sets it. Like, people are gonna get this subscription service. I mean, just how could you turn down the deal? Honestly, it's a great deal for the consumers. Now, movie theaters were already in trouble long before this news was announced. Movie theaters were in trouble long before the pandemic, right? I mean, everything got more comfortable at home. Content at home got, better with quality. But what did we see from movie theaters? We saw them do recliner seats. All of a sudden, they're serving alcohol, right? They're doing everything they can to remain competitive in a market that's so filled with so much content. And so, what does this mean now? Well, hopefully, and we don't know the details, HBO Max, Warner Brothers, they work out some sort of deal to help the theaters, right? I mean, they're only doing the service 30 days after that, and then I believe after those 30 days, the movies will still be in theaters, right? For however long
They'll be in theaters, but they'll be pushed to be rented on other services.
Sure.
So they'll probably cut the time availability.
Yes.
I understand why a lot of filmmakers are upset. All right, like, their movies are made for the big screen.
A lot of people are pissed.
Yeah,
not
Nolan. I'd be surprised if Nolan continues working with Warner Brothers. But
no,
then
he's
again,
done. He's going to be done.
Then again, Nolan, did they not play your game with Tenet? They did, right? They pushed Tenet, they pushed Tenet, they pushed Tenet, and then they finally released it while things were still bad as far as the pandemic goes. And if I'm not mistaken, they lost the money on that. Like, it's still playing in theaters, but people aren't really going to the theaters.
Yeah.
So now, Warner Brothers is looking at this market for 2021. They're forecasting. They're saying, "Damn, not even a Nolan movie could bring in, a crowd." Nolan is one of the top two directors that Warner Brothers has a great relationship with.
Yeah.
And so now they're saying, okay, this pandemic isn't ending anytime soon. We've already pushed so many movies into 2021 that they're not only competing with other studios, but they're going to start competing with our own movies, because 2021 is going to be so crowded. You can only plant so many flags. The problem is the pandemic is not letting up. Not anytime soon, especially where we live in California. It is getting worse. And yeah, there's a talk about a vaccine, this and that, but understand, we're still far away from getting a mass production of vaccines out to everybody. And who amongst those people are going to take it right away? You know, you have the anti-vaxxers out there, and social media likes to spread information and whatnot. But anyways, the point I'm getting to is theaters are going to, for a long time, for the foreseeable future, they're going to remain at 20-30% capacity. That's already cutting into these studios have to start making money. They're not made of money. They have so many movies with $100 million, $150 million, $200 million budgets, and they're just sitting there. And some of these movies come from loans through banks. And what do we know about loans? Interest rates start to build up. Regardless, there's no clause for a pandemic like this because this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. So basically, streaming services like HBO Max, I mean, Warner Bros. They had to do something. And yes, they're working with the theaters. They'll release it the same day for 30 days. After that, you know, we'll see what happens. For right now, it's only a 1-year thing. It could become more. It could definitely become more if this works out in Warner Bros.' favor. But yeah, I mean, given where we are right now in the world, where things are headed, you know, it's, I mean, you got to work with them a little bit. Okay. It can't be just everything that we want, because at the end of the day, it comes down to money, right? I mean, it's all about the box office numbers. That's how movies are made. So it sucks, but I'm not going to lie. It's pretty damn good for all of us.
So I will interject on the whole Nolan conversation just real quick. If you look at the numbers, Nolan's movies have been making less and less over time. I don't think his movies, huh?
Sorry, that was my concern as well. Like, I wasn't sure about that.
I thought you said that's not my concern.
Yeah. So Inception made around 800 plus. Dark Knight Rises obviously made over $1 billion. And then you go to Interstellar, which made just under 7, and then Dunkirk made just under 530. And so they've been slow, as great as they are for fans, for critics and true film fans. They aren't the big juggernaut movies we think they are in this day and age, right?
No.
Movies these days, they're making $700-800 million on a whim. Like comic book movies and big franchises, they're making money by just putting out these ridiculous, crazy movies. And some of them are incredible. Some of them are absolutely incredible. But you have the Star Wars of the world. You have the MCUs of the world. You have the DCs of the world. The Harry Potters and stuff like that. Like even something like Fantastic Beasts 2, I'm sure if I looked up the numbers, it probably made more than any of those movies of Nolan's. And so that whole Tenet thing was just botched in general. It was just completely botched in general. Like that
wasn't the movie that was going to save movies in theaters.
Yeah, it was just bad in general. I will say that.
Wait, how much did his lowest movie make?
526.
Oh, okay.
What did Fantastic Beasts?
Right now, Tenet's at 370. So
Fantastic Beasts made 650.
Yeah,
and
so,
if you take out opening weekends for him too, like because or you look at opening, that's what everybody goes big opening weekend. Outside of the Dark Knight, the Batman trilogy, he's never been a big opening weekend guy. You know?
Yeah.
I like how you immediately knew I looked.
It's up. So, and I want to point this out too because this is something that's very, very important. People are kind of getting tired of wearing the mask, and they're getting tired of the social distancing because it's been so long. And it definitely is dumb because respect those other people around you. Just do what you're supposed to do, and this thing would be over quicker than it should have. It should have been done a long time ago. But what I'm getting at is that just like a lot of other stuff that's going on in a world where we're opening back up and they're allowing, restaurants to do outside seating or, grocery shopping, whatever it is. I do think that if you left theaters open, if the pandemic wasn't as serious, you would still get people to the seats. If you pushed a movie out, we have to keep in mind that when these theaters were open, there were no movies being pushed out. So nobody was going to the theaters because there were no new movies. The only new movie that was out there was Tenet, and Gio, you said it was around like over plus like 300 million or something like that.
370 last I checked.
So in a pandemic, that's gold. That's like gold in a pandemic. That it made 370 million while a national or a global pandemic was going on.
Yeah, it's a worldwide, but you make these movies, especially a Nolan movie, with a budget that he asked for. Like, you expect double back regardless of the circumstances.
No. I don't think.
I got you. Yeah.
You should have never. He should have never expected to make money back in a pandemic. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
And like I said, the whole thing with Tenet was botched. It was all botched. The movie should not be coming. It should not have came out. It should have been on the books until next year, whatever it is. You know, Nolan just did a dumb thing on pushing his movie and wanting it being put out in theaters, and he essentially forced their hand. But let's get back to the streaming aspect of this. It's interesting because the way I look at this, my initial reaction was like, well, that sucks. Like that's a bummer. Like, I want to see all these movies in theaters, and I get that I may not have a choice. And I have to also think to myself, like, okay, you know, theaters are probably not going to be open in 2021. They're going to be very selective. If they are open, it's going to be at 50% capacity, and that's not going to make a lot of money. They can obviously do multiple showtimes. Instead of showing so many movies at once, you know, sometimes theaters have like 8 movies at the theater. They're going to have like 2 to choose from, and that triples the showtimes they could possibly show, which could be in their favor, but who knows? But very much like what Brian said and what Keith has been saying, there's only a couple movies on there I'm really scared about not seeing in theaters. The rest of them are okay on HBO Max. I'm more worried about what it's going to do to the future of theaters. I'm still wondering if this is just going to be a near future effect, and that if it's just something that we see going on for now, or that, you know, it works so well that they're going to continue to do it going forward. And that's what really scares me, because there is nothing like the theater experience. There is absolutely nothing like the theater experience. And if that gets taken away, I'd be very heartbroken. Like, it would kill me.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
Interesting question about very good. Thank you. I don't think that'll be an issue, because you guys are all big Game of Thrones fans, right? Every week, Monday, Tuesday, you guys are talking Game of Thrones all week long until the next episode. We're doing the same thing right now with Mandalorian. Whatever other big. We're getting that with TV, right?
The Boys.
The Boys, sure. You know, whatever thing Reese Witherspoon is in. That it's whatever super dramatic thing she's doing.
Big Little Lies.
Oh,
yeah,
that one. Yeah, okay.
Well, the other one. There was another one too. That's on
Little Fires Everywhere.
Oh, that's
yeah. You know, any of that stuff. You know, so I don't think that will be an issue. I think if it's available, people will watch it. People will talk about it. You know, especially movies this big, and if everyone has them at home, you know, I think that'll. I don't necessarily think that'll be.
I will say to that point, this gives it definitely 1,000% more of a chance for movies to be the talk of a town for a week, and then possibly be out of the conversation. Because if it is available on HBO, right? Yeah. Obviously, subscriptions are going to go up. More than likely, those people will watch it the weekend it comes out. Whereas where it's in theaters, sometimes they can't go the opening weekend. They're going to have to wait during the week or wait till the next weekend. There is definitely a chance where these movies can be the hottest thing in the world for a week or two and then completely disappear. There is definitely that possibility.
But that happens when they're in theaters. The box office, there's all throughout, you know, April, May, June. There's a movie here.
If studios are stupid enough to place things next to each other, but if they place them strategically, the movies will be there for a month or so.
We're in 18. We had Solo, we had Deadpool 2, and then we had
and all those movies got lost with one another. They all got lost with one another. Yeah.
I'm just curious because if you do like the math, 17 movies, 52 weeks, you're looking at a movie every 3 weeks. That's pretty wild.
And that's a good point. That's fair. That's fair because that's assuming the other ones don't follow suit. Disney or Universal with the Fast and Furious. Wasn't Fast and Furious supposed to be there? They pushed it to.
They pushed it till May of 2021. Yeah.
We'll see. Those aren't looking good either with Warner Bros. Making this move. So,
I think that's a full-on another conversation we're going to have about how it affects other studios. Like, what about the studios that don't have streaming services? Warner Brothers has HBO Max, right?
Sony
has Disney Plus. Like Universal, they're going to have to shop their movies to Amazon Prime or Hulu or whoever.
Sony.
Like Sony doesn't have one. Like all those movies are going to have to be shopped or made some kind of big deal, and all those streaming services are going to want a lot of money for that stuff for them to put those movies on the service. And so it's going to be a cluster for a long time. Thank you. Universal has Peacock.
Good point.
And Peacock, that could raise a lot of subscriptions.
I just watched the Fast and Furious on Peacock, the first one, a couple weeks ago. So that's a good point. So that streaming service, it could become very relevant in the next year. It could become very relevant in the next year. Yeah, guys, I honestly think that we're going to have to continue this conversation on another episode. It's because we're obviously not done. We didn't really touch on how it affects other theaters, what other theaters can do, like what Disney's going to do with their properties. Are they going to do it? Are they going to do the same thing? Are they going to stick their guns and do theater only? So I definitely think that you'll probably see another episode of Apocaflix Now, maybe even an extra episode that's fully focused on this, because I know Jacob probably has some thoughts as well. And with the holidays coming up, we have some extra time, so we'll probably definitely be diving into this.
Who cares about that guy?
But I do want to say real quick to everybody watching, first of all, thank you guys so much for hanging out with this entire time. But I do want to say Thursday's episode of Apocaflix Now will actually be live. It'll actually be live because we have heard that Disney is revealing a lot of stuff with Marvel, Star Wars, and Pixar. And if that does happen, we want to go live to talk about it all. And so make sure you stay tuned right here on the channel. We're going to be live on Thursday night, whether it's about the Disney stuff or a topic. There will be an episode of Now, and it'll be live, hopefully about all of this Disney stuff. If not, we will have a topic to talk about. So make sure you're joining us on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, right here. Subscribe to the channel, share the videos. We would love to have more interaction in the comments. All of you doing it this entire time. It's been a blast. We love having you guys interact with us the entire time, giving your thoughts out there to Chuck and Partis and Rachel, Star Drew, everybody who has been along with us the entire time. We thank you guys so much. And so, guys, it was a long show, a lot of cool topics to talk about, and I'm sure it'll come up here in the future. But yeah, that was awesome. So for the whole crew here at Apocaflix Movies, make sure you guys are following us everywhere on our personal channels, which are all in the description below. That is Keith Barnes. That is Brian Avellino. That is Gio Ramos. I am Jake Berlin. This is Apocaflix Now. Again, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're joining us on all of our shows, not just this one, but the Casting Table. The Mandalorian Club goes live on Friday afternoons for the Mandalorian reviews. You can find us on social media at Apocaflix Movies, all of our podcast platforms if you're much more of an audio person. And so, yeah, thank you to everyone listening and watching, and join us on Thursday. We'll see you guys Thursday. For the whole crew here, thank you again, and good night.